it looks like we are back. Hi, everyone. I'm Chill Dragoon here with Seasonal Bard. I don't know if you want to do a quick intro.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Seasonal Bard. I'll be commentating for Chill's run of Pocky and Rocky. We've both played this game a fair amount. So I think we've actually played it co-op too at some point, a long time ago.
The advantage of living by each other. Yeah, just playing on easy. Nothing too major here. Just gonna have fun and be going through it. All right. Gonna start the timer here in 3, 2, 1, go.
So yeah, the intro to Pocky and Rocky that was on the screen was pretty accurate. It's a sometimes frustrating game, but it is described as kind of like a one-stick shooter. You use your directional pad, and wherever you point, you can fire. Chill chose Rocky. There are two characters you can choose between Pocky and Rocky. Pocky being the Shrine Maiden, and then Rocky being this very adorable Tanuki that everyone likes. And I think most people end up playing as because the abilities that... there's a couple of abilities that each of them individually have. One of them being there's a charge up, and Rocky's allows you to avoid any damage, which is pretty cool if you charge it up. But yeah, I think it's very much a proto twin stick shooter to some of the newer styles. There's standard your different types of weapon firing, and then you actually have a parry mode. So I don't know if there's a lot of Super Nintendo shooters that had parry functions in them, but this one is one of those ones, so you can kind of parry bullets. But overall, the goal here is going to be just kind of moving through stages as quickly as possible, parrying what Chill needs to parry, or taking damage when necessary, or unnecessary sometimes. But
mostly unnecessary.
Yeah, mostly unnecessary. And yeah, it's a pretty difficult game when, even on a casual playthrough, even if you're playing it on easy mode, it still can be very frustrating to get through it, especially. Well, yeah, so the basic gist of the storyline is you are not really tasked. You're trying to save the other yokai in this land from the evil wizard Black Mantle. He showed up one day, started kidnapping and enslaving yokai, and yeah, so both Pocky and Rocky are hanging out to just save the day by beating up a bunch of different yokai. We'll be skipping most of the cutscenes, but that's the general gist. As far as weapons go, you can see that Chill is utilizing one of the two weapons, the leaves, which is more of the widespread attack, and then the other being the fireball, which is a little bit more powerful, but has a straight line, and then it splits at the end, so it's a bit more powerful, but a bit harder to use, especially when your screen starts filling up with enemies. But overall, as far as speedrunning strats go, I think mostly there's just a lot of standard, hey, I want to take damage here, I want to use my dodge to get past certain zones. Some of the zones that, as you're progressing through the level, you can just skip fights in certain locations by dodging through, because unless the enemy units load properly, it doesn't lock the screen. So you can end up doing some pretty neat tricks if you're going for a really quick speed run, to just dodge through and take the damage to avoid actually having to finish any of the enemies on the screen. Beyond that, I think most of it's kind of self-explanatory.
Run around,
as far
try
as
not to get hit, try and hit things.
Yeah, and you'll notice that, other shooters, there's those little green orbs that Chill's been picking up. Those are bombs. And we'll generally want to do some save strats for keeping bombs filled up so that we can use them on important fights. Mostly, in the intro dialogue that Chill had posted, the harpy in the airship stage. But there's a couple of other good candidates for saving bombs. One of which will be the next stage after this one. I usually use save bombs for that. It's a horrible ghost exorcist, and it's very, very mean to fight, and you'll see why when we get to it. But and then of course the final fight, usually saving one or two bombs for the final fight is a pretty good strat. But mostly if you're playing casual or if you're really, really good at this game, you don't have to do any bomb saves for the final fight.
Probably not helping with the lag by still shooting everything, but whatever.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, you definitely slow down your run a little bit by killing everything. But it's better than having to like get really precise dodging. At least that's my personal opinion. I think, at least from what I've watched of like proper, real good runs of this, I think a lot of the time saves come down to just dodge tanking damage through the stage as you move through it. Chromogram in chat's like, I call this a run and gun bullet hell that has dangerous terrain. I agree with that. I think more often than not, I have lost lives and taken a ton of damage due to the terrain occlusions, or just ending up like in dodging, falling right off the stage. But it's still like, I remember, I forget when I first played this game. It's been a very long time. But it was one of the ones that I ended up renting when I was a kid, and I was like, this is a lot of fun. I'm glad I don't have to play this in arcade, where I would have to feed quarters into it.
That is true.
Yeah,
I guess, do you want to cover the other games too?
Yeah, so, like, this is... Pocky and Rocky's part of a group of games in Japan called Kiki Kaikai. I forget how many that came out in Japan. I know America didn't get all of them, but we got Pocky and Rocky 1 and Pocky and Rocky 2, and then recently they did Pocky and Rocky and Becky.
Yep,
and then
GBA.
Yeah, it was GBA. I recently, in the context
recently,
of
20 years ago. Yeah.
20 years ago, yeah, I definitely am feeling that. But yeah, the most recent thing they're doing is Pocky and Rocky Reshrined, which is... I haven't really looked much up on it. I probably should do better in that regard, but it is like a full remake of the first game, or is it actually new content?
Nope, I believe it's just a graphical overhaul. It came out, I just haven't touched it.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure that it'll probably grow a new small cult following, because this game, like all interesting run and gun games, is really deserving of just a fan base, I think. And it's got that little, like, Natsume always does an amazing job of having games that are full of this kind of beautiful little charm.
Yeah.
That even if it's kind of weird, you just want to play it because it is very interesting to just see the world and how it works. Oh, okay, so apparently it is a brand new game.
Oh, nice.
And they based on the original.
Okay. Well, now I have to kind of play it then. I thought it was just a redo.
New text.
My bad.
So yeah, that's the Kraken fight. I think most of the fights in this game are very straightforward. Like, you don't have to process a lot more information than you need to overall. For me in bullet hells, that's one of those things. It's like I'm not really great at processing information of like a lot of static images on screen, but this one I think does a really good balance of putting just enough of an emphasis on like standard bullet hell mechanics while still making it fun. They're bringing up Wild Guns.
Oh, I love that game.
Yeah, Wild Guns is a lot of fun too.
Alright, that's a Wild Gun stream now, sorry.
Yeah, we've officially stopped talking about Pocky and Rocky. Except, yeah. So this is the guy I was talking about earlier. He is a ghost exorcist, so you get like a little precursor of the fight to start with. If you do enough damage, then you can just move forward in the stage and you'll fight him as a boss at the very end. But he has a couple of tactics. This ice beam that is very rude and will freeze you if it hits you. Fire, which is kind of a tracking attack. And then those scythes, which will do a curve track. And dodging them is very, very hard to dodge the scythes. And that's usually the boss and sub-boss that I save a couple of bombs for, because I just don't want to deal with putting up with the scythes, and it is oftentimes an easy way to run, like end a run, just in its entirely. It's rough.
I know I'm gonna jinx it, but sadly enough, this is probably the best I've done in the game so far.
Oh yeah, you're doing very well.
But now I've already screwed it up and jinxed it forever.
Jinxed it forever. So the mid-boss for the stage is this genie. I don't know if it's accurate to call him. I suppose he takes enough damage that he counts as a mid-boss. But yeah, he'll just kind of move through from urn to urn, fires his attacks, and then after a few of those, he transforms into a pile of clouds and chases after you, and then floats over to another urn and recycles the same attacks. And stage 3 forward, we start getting into kind of the more... they're not interesting terrain mechanics, but like in this one, it's cool from a game design standpoint, but it's frustrating when you're like speedrunning this and you have to get through it really quick, because you can end up losing just a ton of time waiting for the terrain to move back and forth if you get a bad cycle. Yeah, overall, it is... This stage is probably where runs go to die. Because if you do bad here, it just kind of sets a bad pace for the rest of the game. But yeah, Chill is doing a very good job of just kind of moving forward, getting rid of enemies, and then... getting through. Okay.
The green blobs, if they hit you with a projectile, you have like 3 seconds to shake it off, basically, otherwise you take damage.
Oh yeah. They're a little...
Oh my goodness, stop, please.
Yep. And this is why I save a bomb for this boy. He's so rude.
Yeah, unpleasant.
Oh, but you got lucky there. Like if you can kind of manipulate him at times if you get the right positioning to do the ice beam while you're behind him, and then you can just attack, which is real nice. And yeah, I suppose we can talk about the like main very useful mechanic of this game. It's very forgiving in the sense that like as you progress through stages, if you beat a stage, they give you more health for the next stage. So ideally you just kind of stack further and further up as you go forward in the game and get stronger, which is nice. I suppose we didn't really talk about these characters either. So every once in a while, in certain locations I don't know if they're in each stage.
I don't know if there were any in the last one, but typically
Yeah.
Ah, crap. Just try and get through this.
Oh yeah. Get through the leg. But yeah, so a lot of the things from this game, and pretty much all of it, is ripped from Japanese folklore. So every once in a while, those figures will show up, and they will drop you power-ups, items. Some of them are good. It's pretty RNG heavy on which one shows up, but like I think some of them are strictly better than others.
Yeah. There's one that I haven't gotten yet, where they basically drop a dog that you can ride. I forgot the name of it. It's like a Shisa, or I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, it's a guardian spirit dog, and yeah, it's a mount that makes you invincible, and then you get to just kind of ride it for 25 seconds.
Yeah, it's a lengthy time regardless.
Yeah, it feels very, very long, the amount of time you get to ride it. But yeah, if you like doing kind of twin stick shooters or shoot 'em ups and speedrunning, those kinds of games, this is definitely a game that you could probably get into pretty easily. It just feels so light and airy in a, hey, can be played casually and have a lot of fun doing so. But at the same time, if you want to get really, really good at like the tech of it, it feels good to do it. And it's not that hard to... Yeah. It's not that hard to start figuring things out. I think most of the strats for Pocky and Rocky are pretty straightforward. So yeah, this stage the second half of the stage isn't as hard as the first half of the stage, I think, because as you saw, Chill took a sizable amount of damage.
Half done.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. But yeah, you took a ton of damage, but the back end of the stage, where he's on the airship, you can kind of just move around, defeat the enemies that you need to defeat, while dodging some of the bullets. Although some of the attacks, I think, are a little rude, that as soon as the enemy appears on screen, they'll fire. So you have to... They always appear in the same place, but you have to be a little hesitant about how far up to the top of the screen you're approaching, because otherwise you'll take damage from them. I don't know if this game is run in co-op category, like if there's a co-op category for this game.
There is. Probably not that many runners for it, but...
Yeah, it requires teamwork and friendship. Yeah, this harpy is very rude, and I'm assuming Chill is gonna blow her up.
That is the hopes.
There we go. So yeah, just 2 bombs, and this harpy goes back where she came from, and we don't have to deal with her anymore.
My least favorite boss in the game.
So this next stage, as we've been progressing, we've been getting closer and closer to the Black Mantle's castle. It's a horrible place where all the yokai have been enslaved and put in cages. And we're here to free them. Kind of. Not really. We're mostly going to ignore their suffering.
It happens.
But yeah, we're here to defeat Dracula, I guess? I don't really know why Dracula's here.
Just roll with it. It's fine.
Yeah, it's perfectly normal. Dracula's here, he's hanging out, and yeah, we were just kind of casually walking through all of these very executioner-style, horrible, knife-throwing people that are locking these yokai up in cages, but we don't need to care about them. Yeah, Dracula's a very well-known Japanese folklore creature. I don't know how I could have possibly forgotten that. Yeah, I think this is not quite as bad as the third stage for just time sync issues, but it is very rude because there's a ton of enemies on screen. You have to either get really good at dodging or really good at kind of balancing your attack to parry ratio. And then there's a couple more sections in here where if you're up on health and excited for like trying little sneak tricks, there are methods to kind of like slip past enemies and take damage.
Or just get flattened by a barrel.
Or just get flattened by the barrel. They're pretty cool strats that, like when we did the race between Chill and myself, I tried to do some of those tricks and it didn't work out, but if you get really good at them and practice them, they save you, I think, 30 seconds overall in the run by just doing some time skips in this stage alone. Yeah, once we get through this door, we'll go to the second half of the castle stage, which is awful. Okay. Like, if I'm categorizing how awful this part of the game is, I think it's probably the low point of how I would feel about playing this game, simply because of the rolling spike ball trap. Which will come up shortly, and I mean everyone will get to see how horrible and painful it is. It is... There is no escaping it, and the pain will continue until we get through it. So yeah. So there's not really a proper sequencing to these spike balls. Like, I'm sure there's someone out there who's probably like figured out how these spike balls function on a game level, but I don't have the focus to do so. So your best bet is to just kind of like get into these little pockets and take as little damage as you can and get through it. But if you get some bad RNG, you get stuck there for a very long time and take a ton of damage, and it's pretty horrible. Yeah, so that every once in a while you get really good RNG on that demigod drop. They have a name. I'm blanking on it, but yeah, you get the dog there. Yeah, you drop the dog, and you get to just ride right through that second spike ball trap. So we'll get a little health pickup and a weapon upgrade from up here, and we'll fight strangely musical Dracula. Because looking at the outline of the stage, it's like this weird xylophone, and every once in a while the floor itself will light up in certain sections, and if you stand on that you take damage, and then Dracula just dances around, fires bats at you. But second form, he transforms into a giant bat. And, yeah, oh, close, there you go. Your dad dressed up as Dracula? Yeah, I guess so. . Yeah, now we get to move to the final stage, which is just one kind of straight shot towards Black Mantle, where we will fight the evil wizard, and everything will go very, very well, I think.
Big nabbit.
So yeah, he has some evil skull wizards and these weird spiders that if you attack them, they'll fire attacks. And he has his own giant guard dogs that fire a huge fire beam if they stay static in a position for long enough. But this stage, I think, like, at least from what I watched of other speedrunners running through this stage, you can sometimes kind of just cheese the entire stage by just picking one side and dashing the entire time up. But we're doing a bit more of a safe strat, because dying and getting a game over in here usually spells some pretty quick doom for a run as well. Because, I mean, it's the last stage, you don't want to lose out here. Picking a safe strat is a lot better than getting a little rough and tumble.
If I remember correctly, there are infinite continues in this game, but
Oh yeah.
I don't want to risk it.
It is, yeah. We have Black Mantle's Guardian. It's this knight that fires a couple of pretty simple attacks. It'll have a targeting fire beam, the laser, and then...
Way poorly timed.
Oh yeah. But that's okay. And then yeah, he'll punch with his sword and then he just cycles back between them. Yeah. Once we're done defeating this buddy, we'll move right forward to the fight with Black Mantle. There is an alternate strat to fighting this boy that I use a couple of times, I think, in my runs, which is if you manage to get on screen fast enough to the top of the screen behind him, you can kind of hang out as he does a couple of his attacks, but then you have to dodge through him back down, and I think you get about half his total health in damage done if you're lucky in one cycle.
Alright. Time for the final boss.
So Black Mantle's just hanging out in this room with his kind of creepy demon statues. He has his very dramatic speech about, you know, how we're gonna die. But that's okay, because he's about to lose. But yeah, these statues will fire a couple of beams out.
I forgot that you cannot block them, so I usually have 2 bombs at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, having bombs to destroy the statues makes this fight a lot easier. But yeah, once you've dealt enough damage to the statues, Black Mantle himself comes out and starts doing his cycle, which will be a group of wraps that if you get caught, it doesn't do any damage to you, but you have to like wriggle free. Then those 2 orbs that split up into 3 smaller attacks each, and then this charge beam that just kind of follows you around the stage, and then he'll go back and do them again. You kind of just flow in and out, balance attacking and dodging. But yeah, unfortunately, there are no... Can you parry the cloth? I've never tried parrying the cloth. But I think... Yeah, out of all the attacks, the only one that I know that you might even be able to parry is the cloth itself. Nope. Never mind. Can't parry the cloth. Yeah. Yeah, basically it's just utilizing your skills as a good dodger. And then every once in a while you'll fire at him. Yeah, I think Chill will get this. And then time technically will be once he's done exploding, I believe.
Yeah, I usually do when the screen goes to black.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that was a really poor thing on my part.
Usually if you have full power up, this fight goes by pretty quickly. But sometimes things happen and you do your best.
Sometimes you're bad at the game, but you just don't have it.
Oh, I mean, in a casual playthrough, I think more oftentimes than not, you're going to end up fighting Black Mantle with just your very basic weapon. Although dying, you do some bomb damage to him, so.
Going red. There we go.
Oh, there we go. So, yep.
Alrighty. So time will be coming up pretty soon here.
Oh, yeah, there's a bit of a flash there. I keep forgetting there's a couple of those light sensitivity things.
That is true. Not nearly as bad as Mega Man 2, but still bad.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why they give you full health again. You're not continuing.
Because they want to make sure that you know that you're healthy. Yep.
And now everyone is free from the spell.
Yeah, I mean, they're still yokai, and I'm sure they're gonna do mean things to people, but you freed them all.
Exactly.
So yeah, again, the runner for Pocky and Rocky was Chill Dragoon. I was Seasonal Bard. Thanks for Junkyard Dave for putting this on, having us out. We'll both be back again tomorrow for a race of Little Samson, another game that's kind of niche, but a lot of fun to play through. Anything you want to say, Chill?
Nope, I think that's about it. I ended up doing better than I was expecting, so it's a little bit of, I don't know, have some extra time. But anyways, yeah, I think that's good to go. Yeah, thanks to everyone for stopping by. Thanks for the GGs, and we'll hopefully see everyone tomorrow.